So we need to understand, so what is a framework and what are the different types of frameworks, market, and so the type of questions. Mostly we'll get on this framework area only, questions. Let's see all the questions also. A framework is basically a set of guidelines. So, and so we will follow some guidelines and instructions to arrange the code in a proper order, basically proper folder structure. So that's the framework means. And framework gives a lot of advantages. So till now we have written without any framework, right? We have, even though we have used unit testing frameworks, but still our customized frameworks we can design. So what are the advantages you will get? A framework is reusability of the code. Mostly you will get a reusability of the code. Maintenance of the code is very easy. So maintenance means, for example, you have written a object identification, tomorrow it changed. So if you are not, putting in one class file, and if you are using multiple places, same thing, so you have to modify in all the places. But if you use a framework, you will write in one file only. The change also will happen in one file. So it won't be in all many places wherever you need to use that element. So that's the advantage. That maintenance is very easy. Because of this framework, will give you that extra features for us. It provides the reports. So it gives the reports. Our customized reports, we can get it. And it provides the logs and the screenshots. So logs, so why do you need? So if something failed and you want to see the exceptions, all this, it is very helpful. And screenshot also, it helps you. So where it failed and what is the failure message. Sometimes it is hard to get in the logs. By seeing the screenshots, you can easily get the things. So where it is failing and which step it is failing, you can easily check that. And also the values, when you're inputting the data, you can see them in the screen. So that's the one advantage. So any non-technical and new person can understand the code very easily. So that's another advantage of a framework. So these are the advantages. And also, what are the different type of frameworks we have? So we have a data-driven framework, keyword-driven framework, hybrid framework, behavior-driven development framework. So BED is another famous framework in the market. So what is the difference between keyword-driven and data-driven and behavior-driven frameworks? So all these are, a different type of frameworks. So let's see what is mean by a keyword-driven testing framework means. So here, this is the, basically, so everything will be, functions will be given a keywords, right? Functions will be given a one keyword. So that keywords, like click, type, verify, that like that, each action function will be given as a keywords in your Excel sheet, and that will be, you want to run or not, you can control everything. And you will give a test data also for that. And test scripts is a set of instructions, and so that use these keywords. So, and test data to execute the test cases. So that's the components in the keyword-driven framework. So advantages is basically reusability of these keywords. You can reuse the same keywords across the test cases. So easy to maintain the test data, and logic are separated basically. And non-technical team members can write and understand the test cases very easily. So that's one good example. For example, if you see login, search, add to cart, which are the combined with the test data to create the test scripts. So these are the keywords you can give: login, search. So these are the keywords you can give for your functionality. And then you can call these keywords in the test cases directly. So that's the advantage with this keyword driven framework. And data driven framework means, so mainly you will focus the same functionality will test with a different set of input data, different set of test data. So to ensure that application behaves correctly with a different test data. So that's called data-driven testing. So here, test data is multiple sets of input and expected output. You will check that. Test scripts is a single set of test scripts, so that are iterative over the different sets of test data. And we have seen, right, in the data provider annotation, we are doing a data-driven testing. That's the same scenario, but with a different sets of data. So that's a data-driven testing, you can call that. So the advantages here is efficient for testing multiple scenarios with a minimal test script duplication, and easily extends the test coverage by adding new data sets. Only data you can change. So that's the advantage here. So for example, you want to test a login scenario with a different username password combination. So then you can supply from Excel sheets or data provider method inside, and then you can give it to a test method. So that's the same code, but different sets of data. So that's how you can do a data-driven testing. With this. Okay, so behavior-driven development or behavior-driven framework. So this is the very popular framework nowadays. So one is hybrid framework, and this behavior-driven development and data-driven. Data-driven is you can mix with the hybrid. Okay, so you don't need to do it separately. Generally, people will mix with the hybrid framework. So you can combine. So that means hybrid. I'll come to hybrid part. So what is a behavior-driven development framework means? So basically, this is mainly focus on the to reduce the gap between the non-technical people and technical people. So what is mean by these non-technical people? Like, you have a product owner, business analyst, right? They don't know about the code. So now if you see our Selenium code, all completely, you're writing the code, but there is no need, nowhere you're mentioning the test case steps. So that was the problem in the Selenium code, in the hybrid framework. But here, so what is the main advantage of this behavior-driven development is, first you will prepare the scenarios. So step-by-step scenarios you will prepare. That means what you are testing clearly mentioned in a plain English, so that everybody can understand what you are testing, what you are automating. So that is called behavior-driven development means. So first you have here components, 3 components will be there. Feature files, step-driven files, and runner file will be there. So feature files have all your scenarios. In a Gherkin, using Gherkin keywords, you will write the scenarios and steps you will write. So the Gherkin keywords is given, when, then. Given, when, then. So that means first feature, scenario. So scenario below, you have a steps. Like a given is a preconditional step. So when is the action steps? Like action means clicking on the element, typing the value in the edit boxes, and selecting option from drop down. All action related things you will use with the when keyword. And you want to do a post action, so there is a verifications, right? That verifications you can do with a then keyword. So that is the given, when, then keywords. So in between that, you want to join multiple steps. You can use undo, but these keywords also you can use. So that's a scenario wise you will write these steps with the Gherkin keywords. Gherkin keywords means feature, scenario, given, when, then, and, but, scenario outline. These are all called Gherkin keywords. So using Gherkin keywords, you will prepare the scenarios in the feature files. Feature files is having only your test case scenarios. So with the steps. So that's the feature files. Step definitions. So you have written a scenarios here, right? With the steps. Each step is implemented in the step definitions. That means you are going to write the code. So what that step has to do. So using Selenium, you can write the steps, automation logic you can build in the Java methods. So Java methods, that's the step definitions means. So first feature file is the entry point. Feature files are the entry points. Then each step is implemented in step definition class file. So each step is a one Java method. The method inside, you can write that step related logic. So like maybe you can open the browser, maybe that open browser logic, you build it, all the code. Right, in the Selenium, how to open the browsers, then adding all these preconditional steps, you can add it. So that's how you can write the step definitions. Once step definitions are done, so you want to run them, right? You need a runner file. So runner file will just control, okay, so where to look for the feature files, where to look for the step definition, and know what type of reports you want. So what are the groups you want to run? And so this is the kind of the controlling, basically. So the test configs controlling you can do in the runner file. So that's the behavior-driven development means. And so basically encourages collaboration between technical and non-technical team members. That's what I told, right? It reduces the gap between the technical and non-technical people. So you will write the scenarios in plain English. So provide a clear understanding of the expected behavior of the application. So that's what you will mention in the scenarios. So then place you will tell, okay, so this should be there, like that. Promotes test automation using a human readable format. So that's the advantage of this behavior driven development. So for example, so you might have a feature file that describes the user registration feature with scenario like register with valid credentials, register with invalid credentials, These are the two different scenarios. In the same feature file, you can write two scenarios. So that's the advantage here. So basically in this testing frameworks, they will differ in the approach and focus. So let's see. So keyword driven framework focuses on reusability and separating test logic from data. Data driven testing focuses on testing the same functionality with a different sets of data. Behavior driven development focuses on describing the expected behavior using natural language, Gherkin language. So encourages collaboration between technical and non-technical people. So that's the crucial difference between all the frameworks. And the last one is hybrid framework. So what is hybrid framework? So hybrid framework means, so it's a combination of multiple frameworks, multiple approaches. So that is called hybrid framework, like combination of test ng, data driven or keyword driven, and page object model design pattern. This is the very crucial. So page object model design pattern. So that is called hybrid framework. So why test ng is used. Test ng is used to design the test cases. That's the purpose of test ng. And data driven is used to test the same scenario with multiple sets of data, or same functionality with multiple sets of data or different sets of data. So different sets of data, you can say, right? And page object model is, you need to understand very clearly this is the one of the famous interview question. Any interview you go, they will ask, so what is mean by page object model design pattern? So basically, POM is a page object model design pattern. So design pattern. So you're designing your web objects so separately. So let's understand what is this page object model in detail. So page object model design pattern is also called POM. It's one of the design pattern. It's not a framework. It's one of the design pattern. So in Selenium. So this explains you how to store the web elements in a repository, object repository. How you can store the web elements in an object repository. So that's what this form will explain. So it is very useful. Okay, so reducing the code duplication, improving the test case maintenance. How it will improve, how it will reduce the code is, so basically, so each page wise, you will create a separate class. For example, you have a home page, search page, registration page, login page, like that. You have multiple pages, right? Page wise, you will create a separate class. So registration page. In the registration page, all the registration page related web elements you will identify using your locators, and you will place in that file only. And plus, after object identification, then you will develop the respective methods, the operations, what you need to perform on each element. You will create the methods in the same file. So basically, you are encapsulating the elements and the respective methods. So you're combining. That means, so here it is coming encapsulation OOPS concept. The page object class follows the encapsulation process. Okay, so that is the, I'm again bringing Java also here. So page object class follows the encapsulation OOPS concept. How it is following? So what is encapsulation? Wrapping the data and code, right? Here in this page class, you are putting the web elements and the respective methods of that web elements. So that means your elements you will declare as a private variables, and the methods you will declare them as a public. So that is the page object model class follows the encapsulation OOPS concept. Are you clear?
Yes, Ramesh.
Okay. So what are the advantages of page object model? So helps with easy maintenance, as I already mentioned in the beginning. So some element you are identifying. So that element you are going to use in multiple test cases. But value you won't use, only that element name, even element name also you won't call. Only the methods you will call in the test cases. So that means, so even though if you call that element through methods, but tomorrow the change happened for that element, so the object identification changed, then you don't need to modify in all the places wherever you're using that method. You will come to that page class, you will modify there only one place. That is the easy maintenance means. So that's the reason people will follow page object model pattern. And reusing the code. So as discussed, so no, all screens are independent. Each screen wise you have one class. Each screen wise you have one class. So, and you can write the methods, and wherever you need that page class, you can just create object for that page class and you can call that. So that's a usage with this reusing the code in all the test cases. Same class, you don't need to write multiple times. So that's a reusability of the code also will be there. So readability and reliability of the test scripts. So when all screens have independent Java files, so you can easily identify actions. So that will be related to particular screen, and you can call them wherever you want. So that easily you can read that, okay, this belongs to this particular page class. So that is the main advantage of readability and reliability of the test scripts. So these are the advantages. So they will ask this question, what is page object model and what are the advantages of page object model? Please give a detailed explanation and with these so advantages. So how to implement the page object model? So basically you can implement the page object model in two ways. One is using plain page object model and using page factory class. So most of the people will use page factory only. But let's understand both, okay? Plain page object model means you will identify the element, so like private, or it's up to you. You want to hide this element, you will use private access modifier. So private static final by element name equal to by dot locator value. So this element, you will perform the actions, right? So write the action method. Suppose I want to do click action, I'll write public void click to this element, or click on this element, you will write. So then driver dot find element. So this by dot locator is equal to this one, right? So I'm just writing that one here. Dot click. This is not a web element. This is just a by object reference that you are passing here. And the second one using page factory. So page factory is a class in Selenium, so which provides a page factory class. So that class has methods @find by annotation is there, and init elements method. So these are the two methods you are going to use. This is the one annotation and this method. So this is the static method in the page factory class. First, find by annotation is used to identify the web elements. So this is how you will write @find by. So locator name you write. So I'm just giving here ID, but you can use all the locators. You know already the locators. So ID, name, class name, XPath, CSS selector, and link text, partial link text, right? So all those locators, you can check that. And web element. So that's the how you can identify your web elements. See below, you have to write. So after writing this, okay, this locator belongs to which element? So web element and element name you have to write. For example, this is the some button. You write a login button or registration button. Okay, so that's how you can identify the elements. And we have a so the element names you know how to write, right? This is directly you're getting a web element here. So but here you're not getting directly web element here. You need to catch that a plain page object model and page factory. Page factory is directly giving a web element, but here it's not giving a web element. So that's the one thing. And init elements method. Init elements is a static method in the page factory class. So you will create in the page class a constructor. The constructor inside you want to initialize all these web elements, right? So that to initialize all the web elements, you will use this init elements method in that 1 minute. So this is the init elements method. Also, you will call in the page class constructor. So class name below you have constructor. Constructor inside you will write so page factory dot init elements method. So this init elements method you need to pass two arguments. One is the driver and this keyword you have to pass. This means right the current class objects will be initialized. So that's the two arguments you have to pass for this method. And this lazy initialization, basically Ajax element locator factory, this one, lazy load concept, no, in page factory, but very rare case people will use. So this is used to identify web elements only when they are used in any operation or activity. But the timeout of web element can be assigned to the object class with the help of Ajax element locator factory. So that's the so this one class will be used to use the so lazy initialization means where elements, for example, slowly loading that time, so they will be taken care by this so lazy initialization. And this is how you will write the page object model, page factory. So you will create a class. So class inside you have a constructor. So class, this is the constructor, right? Access modifier and class name parenthesis. So parenthesis, the constructor inside, we are writing page factory dot init elements driver comma this keyword. So then at that find by locator equal to locator value, private web element name. So like this, all the elements you have to identify with the at the rate find by annotation. And then, so you will write a respective methods on these elements. So public void click element. So directly we'll get the element here, element dot click. But here you can see, so you have to write a driver dot find element, right? You don't need to write that in the page factory. So directly you got the element dot the action. So that's the difference between normal plain page object model and this one. So there is one more cache lookup concept in the this page factory, which is used to mark the web elements once located, so that the same instance in the in the web page always can be reused. So cache lookup attribute can be used to instruct the init elements method to cache the element once it is located. So that it will not be searched over and over again. Next time, if you need, it won't search. It will store in this cache, and that will be reused. That's the cache lookup. So it will save, right? It will save the time, and also you don't need to go every time and search in the web page. So that's the advantage of this cache lookup. Okay. So that's all about basic theory, and let's join back and we will understand this hybrid automation framework, how to design, and I'll just explain what are all the modules will be there, the components, or what are all there. Okay, or otherwise you can finish now. There's still 2 minutes are there, right? We can finish. See, if you see this, so all page objects is a one component in your automation project. So page objects is the one component. A component is nothing but a package, right? Or folder you can create. Under that folder, you can create so many classes like base page, home page, registration page, login page, search page. See, your class must end with a page keyword. Make sure you write this. The class name ends with a page keyword so that you can easily distinguish between the page classes and test case classes. So that's the main keyword. And then you have a test cases. You will write the base class, base test, login test, login so registration test, so search product test, add to cart test. So you will use the class names in the test cases. So it ends with a test keyword, so that you can easily recognize that as okay, it is a test case. So that's the advantage. Then you have utility classes, test data files, resource like properties files, log4j files, those things. And then you have a testng.xml suite files, and form.xml is the heart of Maven project. So I'll explain what is a Maven project also. Then once you run as a suite file, you'll get the reports, you'll get the logs. So this part is a development phase, and this part is a execution phase, and this is the CI/CD part. Okay, so that's the whole 3 parts will be there, and we'll understand in detail once we join back. Okay, yeah, thank you.